Hello, welcome to Larry's Topics. Today, the topic of conversation is going to be the newer Star Wars movies. Right? There is reason for these, but I want to apologize for not posting in a while because of the quarantine. I've been busy with other stuff. But enough said. If you like this video, please like and subscribe, and if you have any suggestions for topics to cover, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. And please, no fighting, no being cruel. Everybody is equal. Now, the subject of our topic. Alright, most people don't realize this unless they're like super geekdoms, super Star Wars fanatics. But, Star Wars has actually been over for a while. The whole Star Wars series is over. George Lucas himself said in numerous interviews that the story for Star Wars, the whole cornerstone of the franchise, was the life and time and suffering of one Anakin Skywalker. It wasn't about Luke, it wasn't about Leia, even though they are pieces of the story, but it's about Anakin. Anakin Skywalker. Going from a life of suffering and slavery to exploring the galaxy, becoming a fierce warrior, one of the most best warriors out there, being denied title of Jedi Master, being betrayed by the dark side, being sucked in, being lied to, manipulated, becoming a slave to the dark side, all his pain and suffering he went through while being part of the dark side, and then eventually his redemption and rebirthing, as it was, into becoming Anakin Skywalker again, and eventually a Force Ghost. That's it. That's the story. It's him as a little boy, him as a young man, him as a man, him becoming a very evil person, most feared Sith Lord, Sith apprentice out there, or Lord, depending on how you want to count it. And then him being freed from his sins at the help of his son. That's it. And it breaks my heart that so many people put so much hype into these new Star Wars movies. I'm sorry. I have no interest in seeing them. I don't want to see them. It's not because I'm not a Star Wars fan. I love Star Wars. It's just the story's is done. It's over. After Anakin dies, being freed from his dark side and becoming a Force Ghost, the story ends. The story has nothing to do with Luke as an old man down the road, that Rey or whatever. It's crap. And you know why it's crap? It's because Disney saw a huge money-making machine. That's why they bought it. And they built attractions. And those attractions bring them buku bucks. Well, it's probably hurting right now, so they're probably launching anything digital they can online to make up for it, because I don't think anyone's in Disneyland right now. If you are, wow, I'm impressed. But, no. people argue that George Lucas wanted to continue the story. No, if he did, he had some ideas to continue the story. But the story was dead. It was done. He got what he wanted out of it. And that was the life and death of Anakin Skywalker. And people don't get it. People will make excuses and that. No, it's the story of Anakin Skywalker. You watch it. It's not about Luke or Leia. Because if was, why the hell did it take so long to get where we are now with the new Star Wars? Because they served their purpose. Yes, you have follow-ups in the comic books and that of Luke when he was younger, which George Lucas was involved with. But other than that, the story was done. It was done. There's nothing left to it. Look it up. He says it in an interview. Star Wars was the story of Anakin Skywalker. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about the newer ones, what I do know. Okay. Rey, I don't know what I've seen. She's nothing impressive. She's whatever. People seem to love her. Whatever. Her lightsaber, it's pathetic that it's, even though she, I guess, makes her own lightsaber, why is it did the lightsaber have to be Luke's old blue one, Anakin's originally? It's like, okay, here's how we can make a story. We'll pick up where the last place the blue lightsaber would have been, and base a story around it. That's how it seems. I don't want to watch it. I don't care how epic it is, how glorifyingly, digitally, graphically beautiful it is. I'm not interested. Star Wars is over. What I and other stuff like okay, Kylo Ren, yeah, he's got a dope lightsaber. That is pretty cool. Okay. But what is Kylo Ren? Look at him. He's wearing a mask. A black mask. And some weird cape and some long coat. The Matrix called. They want their clothes back. But all Kylo Ren is a Darth Vader wannabe. And I'm sorry. The whole Ben Solo. They have a crappy explanation for his name. Why Leia made it his name, blah, blah, blah. It's common in their location in the universe, whatever. But it's really stupid. You stop and think about it. If anyone in the Star Wars franchise were to have a son and name him Ben in honor of Obi-Wan Kenobi, don't you think it would have been Luke? Really, think about it. Luke spent the most time with Obi-Wan. Leia barely knew him. I don't even think she saw him but a few seconds, if I remember correctly. But yeah, it's that he's that important to the story, I guess, that she honors someone she barely knew, only through maybe a brief glance at him or something. Other than that, from legend and story, Luke had more reason to name a child after Obi-Wan. All it is, what it boils down to, is it's just Disney trying to make more money out of a franchise that was already done. It's done. It was done. I mean, they didn't even listen to George Lucas's suggestions. If he were to have continued the story, it was something about focusing on how the midichlorians work and the beings that they're connected to, blah, blah, blah. But they ignored that, so he was pissed about that, but he got over it. But no. None of them are worth watching for me. Anakin grew up, became a Jedi Knight, became a Sith Master, died at the hands of his master by destroying his master, at the same time freeing himself from basically his lifelong curse. He was done. It was done. But no, people just couldn't accept it. Disney couldn't accept it. And from what I gather, from what people have said about these, as popular as they are and as much money as they've made, most of them suck. The storyline's stupid. But that's not it anymore. It's just about who can do the best graphics, who can use the most money and make the most money off of that amount. It's stupid. What have we become? We were fans. We love this stuff. Some of us a little bit too much, apparently. You're taking and dishing out money for this stuff. They could make killings with just their theme park stuff, like not saying the names, but the other than everyone says it, Galaxy's Edge. No promotion here, not that fortunate, but that's it. I mean, they make a killing with the prop shops, the lightsaber stores, going in and building your own lightsaber, stuff like that. But why destroy a franchise by putting your spin on it? It's being dishonest to the story. It's ridiculous. And it's a complete waste of time and money. And to diverse from the topic of Star Wars, I did want to bring up one thing. They're redoing a Stephen King movie. I can't remember what it is. But technically, Salem's Lot. For you Stephen King fans out there, Salem's Lot technically it's not a reboot. A definition of a reboot, I've always been told, it is taking a movie that's already been on the big screen and remaking it. Same with it. It wasn't a remake. He never graced the big screen, silver screen, whatever you want to call it. It wasn't in theaters. Had it been, instead of a TV movie, Tim Curry could have probably have played around with the character more. But he was limited. And that's what so many people don't get. It's not a remake. Salem's Lot is not a remake. It was never on the big screen. If these stories that were made into TV movies or TV series, whatever, miniseries, whatever, what have you, I guarantee you, if they had been put on the big screen, it probably would have been bigger than what it was. They wouldn't have been limited. They wouldn't have been restricted. But they were restricted. Couldn't do half the gory stuff with it that they did in the silver screen, on this big screen. Why? Because they weren't so limited. So restricted. They didn't have the censors board sitting there shaking their fingers. Can't do this, you can't do that. No. They're pulled back. So the directors and writers are free to spread out their ideas and formulate plans and that. And people don't get that. Trust me, I love Tim Curry's Pennywise. But he was limited. Dude, I guarantee you, if it was put on a bigger budget and slapped into the theaters, I guarantee you it would have been probably a lot better than it was. Don't get me wrong, Tim Curry was phenomenal. I loved him as Pennywise, but he was restricted. Salem's Lot. I don't know how they're going to do that because, well, it's going to suck if the vampire's digital or computer-generated image because, come on. Nothing beats the good old FX if done properly with some CGI. But the vampire was actually a hassle. It was a pain in the ass for them to do because there was so much makeup and stuff on the guy that his face would dry and crack out after so long and break up, and then they'd have to take off all the makeup and prosthesis and do it all over again. And I'm assuming it probably happened at least 20, 30 times, having to redo the makeup and that. So here's to the fact. I hope it's a good one. I hope it's a plus. Be really cool because it won't be so restricted. Have to be so TV friendly. Because Pennywise it was pretty good. Didn't touch Tim Curry, in a bad way. Tim Curry did what he could with what he had, which was phenomenal. The other one, even not for it. It was good. It was great. But as I was saying though, back to Star Wars, it's all crap. They should have left it alone. They ruined the franchise, in my opinion. But I digress. I don't want to have a half-hour video, unless you want a longer video. But who wants to listen to a bearded man, fat man talk about movies and that? Apparently not many. I've only had so many views, and I think the only subscribers I have are my family. And even they don't like to show the love, so I digress. Have a good night. Have a beautiful day. Good luck with the quarantine. Stay healthy. Stay safe. God bless. Bye.